Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing a video for Comic Uno episode 63, and this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. So let's see what comics we're talking about. I have 17 comics going worst pick of the week to best pick of the week. Let's get started. What was number 17? This is definitely worst pick of the week. All New Doop, issue 5. Honestly, this is such a weird week because there's some really great comics, and then some really bad comics, and then some really mediocre comics. So it was a very mixed bag week. It was very balanced, honestly. So talking about All New Doop is bad. It wasn't just like, it's just the bottom, it's not the worst thing in the world. It was bad, honestly. I think All New Doop, from issue 1, which I thought was a very cute issue, just degraded issue by issue, went downhill issue by issue. The only reason I got All New Doop was because Kitty Pryde was a secondary character. I try to get every Kitty Pryde book that she's in, so unless it's like really bad, and this is just a mini-series, so I trudged through it. But with this issue, we deal with Doop's mommy's issues, and we find out that he has mommy issues because the mom is also the father. So yeah, father never run away. They're actually the same person. So that's cool, I guess. So we find out that Kitty wants to stay in Doop World because she doesn't want to deal with the realities of being an X-Men, and she wants to quit the team to go with Cyclops. So that's her overall story, and Kitty kisses Doop for very weird. So honestly, the reason I didn't like this a lot, first of all, because I'm a Kitty Pryde fan, I thought she was totally out of character. She felt whiny and be like, I don't want to go to the X-Men. She's a strong character. She wouldn't be like, I want to stay in Doop World and, marry you just to get out of this funk. It felt so weird. And this is going back to a time which still doesn't make sense to me after Battle of the Atom, that Kitty went to Cyclops' team for no reason. Because she was a little pissed off with the X-Men. They just bring back to that time. And still, I feel like they're trying to explain that with All New Doop, saying why she had the reason to go and leave the X-Men, but never explained it. Just kind of made it worse, honestly. It really disappointed me. As a Kitty Pryde fan, I just thought this was very bad. And it just brings me back memories again to a bad time of Kitty Pryde just going to Cyclops for no reason, which I kind of accept now, and now bringing it back, it still doesn't make sense to me why she went to the other team. She's like, I can't handle the X-Men, I gotta leave and go to the person I don't really like or have a relationship with. Yeah, this wasn't good. 1.5 stars. I did not like it at all. It just kind of got crazier and crazier. It just started not to make sense, this series. So I think if you're a Doop fan, though, if you've liked the character, you probably will like the style of this. And I think him being in the margins was interesting. But this could have been like a 3-issue miniseries and not go out there like that. But let's talk about number 16, which is Original Sin, issue 8. Another book, I just feel like well, not another book, because I don't think people are going to disagree with me with All New Doop. People will. But I know a lot of people are very polarized at this event. I've seen people love the event. I've seen people hate it. Never really seen a middle ground with it. For me, I'm not a big fan of the event, but it's better than what we've been getting from Marvel is the best way to put it. So, this issue we get to see who killed the Watcher. Who knows who killed the Watcher, but we find out who killed the Watcher. And, spoiler alert, Nick Fury becomes the Watcher by the end, which I thought was very predictable because the main character of this book kind of was Nick Fury, and him being old and this reveal, which I did like the reveal. That was probably the best issue, of revealing that Nick Fury was old and had all these robots, so being him, which made sense because we really haven't seen this version of Nick Fury in a while, because Samuel L. Jackson became Nick Fury, and we see kind of the ultimate version of Nick Fury a little bit more. So yeah, this issue, I felt like it was very predictable. And also they're trying to do 2 timelines at the same time. When the Watcher died and the current event of trying to get the eyeballs. And I thought the way it transitioned in this issue just didn't work. They changed the colors a little when they were in the past, and then in the future, running away from the big eyeball guy and then trying to get the eyeballs. I just thought the way it transitioned got really confusing. I'm like, wait, the Watcher's alive? No, that's the past. Okay, got it. So the way it transitioned just didn't work for me. I also am not a big fan of the dark art style, and I guess the dark storytelling at the same time. And also not really seeing the Marvel heroes. It didn't matter which Marvel heroes you picked here, and I don't like stories like that where they just have random Marvel heroes running around, and that's how it felt with Original Sin. Did we need Black Panther? Probably not. Did we need Emma Frost? Probably not. And I don't really like story arcs like that. So for me, I give Original Sin 2 stars. I didn't love this issue. I just felt like it was pretty predictable. Alright, let's move on to number 15, which is Future's End, Earth 2, issue 1. And this is probably the lowest Future's Earth 2 has been in a really long time, because I really love Earth 2, and I know Tom Taylor did not write this issue. But I really do like the series. I think it's a really cool series. I was looking forward to this issue too. This is actually probably the one I was most excited for this issue, because we get to see Lois Lane. I'm like, cool, Lois of Future's End and Lois of Earth 2 are going to meet each other. I think that was a really big potential of a book, but Lois Lane was not, this Red Tornado was not in this issue, like, at all. She was in one page. So I thought the cover was totally misleading, and most of this issue is about Mr. Terrific, which I don't care about Mr. Terrific at all. I don't think I would have picked up this issue if I knew this whole issue was going to be about Mr. Terrific. It's about him harboring one of the, or two people, and the one thing I thought that was very interesting is that we do have a main character from Earth 2 who Mr. Terrific's trying to go against, and also they have these gadgets to detect people from Earth 2. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I thought about that when I was reading other Future's End books. But overall, I just kind of was bored with this issue. I didn't care what Mr. Terrific was doing or his use spheres. I didn't care in the Future's End weekly series. I still don't care. I think there's just so much potential what they could have done with the actual Earth 2 characters that we know and love that Tom Taylor has developed. And we didn't really see them. We saw him a little with Jimmy and a little bit with Lois, but I really thought it would have been a better issue if we got to see Earth 2 Lois and Future's End Lois meet each other. That would have been very satisfying. This just kind of felt like a waste of time, which you definitely do not have to read if you're reading Earth 2. So I'm going to give this 2 stars. I thought the artwork was pretty good, but other than that, the story was kind of a waste of time for me. Here's the example of the artwork. So many advertisements. I would like to show you 2 pages of a comic, but here we go. That's it. I didn't love it. So that is next is 14, which is The Names, issue 1. Another title which I didn't really like that much. But after this, I promise, these are the only titles I hated. Then we're going to go into more neutral ground. So The Names, issue 1. I got this kind of on whim. It sounded interesting from the description. The wife finds out her husband dies because of Wall Street, and she's trying to get revenge. I thought that was pretty interesting, but the way they did it here, I did not care about Wall Street or the villain at all, because we find out Wall Street's trying to corrupt this man. The guy has to die because his boss says you should commit suicide, and he writes a letter to his wife, and the wife doesn't think that her husband committed suicide, so she's going to try to get to the bottom of all this. And overall, I just didn't care. I think that was the best way to put it. This issue 1 just didn't interest me so much in the story. I guess I cared about the wife. I think her character got a little development, but the villain, the husband, everything else just, I didn't care. I felt like I kind of wanted to rush through the issue, and also the artwork for the main villain. I mean, I know they're trying to make kind of like artistic style. I hope I could get it. He has this big head, and I know we've seen this in different art styles for like people in power, but I didn't like the art style at all. It didn't fit the book for me. Everyone has very long faces. Didn't really like it. So for me, I gave this 2 stars. It just did not intrigue me at all. There was nothing that really caught me with this issue. Alright, so what number are we up to now? Alright, now we're up to number 13. Again, going into more neutral ground, which is Future's End, issue 18. A big drop from where it was last week. Last week it was in the top 5, and now it's back in that kind of lower ground. This week I just thought the way they structured this issue was not that good. And not a lot's happening here until, I would say, the end, which kind of was spoiled in the Green Arrow book. Thank God I read Future's End before Green Arrow. But we get to see a little bit of Clark talking to Constantine about him. Clark should do more. He should go out there. And I actually think I got that confused with the Action Comics book because they're very similar. But he's talking to Constantine, and yeah, that's going on with Superman. And then we get to see a little bit more with Billy Batson. Lois learning a little bit more about Billy. And that's pretty much what's going on there. Nothing's really developed. Her talking to Billy for a little bit. And Lois being transferred to the Justice League Defense Station, and I guess she's going to help them try to defeat the villains, and that's it. Nothing's really going on there. Then we get to see a little bit of Miko. This was definitely the best story for the issue. and the most developed, we find out, spoiler alert, Green Arrow is still alive. So that was very interesting. And Miko knew that Green Arrow was still alive, and you get a lot more background on that in the Green Arrow Future's End book, which I'll talk about as, you know, the countdown goes on. That's pretty much what goes on in this issue, and then we get to see a little bit of Batman Beyond, which was such a weird ending. It felt like, oh, let's develop Batman Beyond story for a page, and the way it ended, I'm like, that's it? Like, that, nothing happened. This is not a cliffhanger. I think if they had the Green Arrow cliffhanger for the last part, instead of Batman Beyond, it would have been a lot better, and that's what I meant by the structure. It was just really weirdly structured, this issue. Art, of course, is very consistent. I do like the artwork a lot here. And again, like, I did like the Superman story, did like the Lois story, but nothing's really happening that much in the story. It's just, like, progressing a little. The biggest thing was Green Arrow. Really excited to see what they do with that, knowing that Roy knows that Green Arrow's still alive. I like that story. I like what they are doing with the Miko and Berta. I like the Superman and Lois story, but again, they just did not develop it that much. And the other parts, I do not care about Batman Beyond, and I don't care about 50 Sue. So that's another story. I just feel a little bored with, and they, for me, haven't developed something I would be interested in. So yeah, I'm going to give this 3 stars. It's not a bad issue, again, like the other ones I talked about, but not a lot of progression either, and weirdly structured, good artwork, but I'm going to give it 3 stars. I think it's up to you guys if you want to pick it up. I do think there is enough developments here to pick up. Alright, let's move on to number 12, up to. Let's see. Yes, we are up to number 12, which is Spider-Man 2009 issue 3. Yeah, this was actually pretty good. We're getting into those better comics now. I like this issue. I know you guys are probably questioning, why did you get Spider-Man 2009, Kat? You said you weren't going to get this series. Well, Mike Spiderslayer actually told me to get issue 2. I would really like it. And I got issue 2 and really liked it. It was a lot better than what Dan Slott was doing with Spider-Man 2009, and this character is much more developed and more likable, and there's some really cool supporting characters, so and also artwork's really good, so Peter David obviously knows what he's doing with the character, and I'm intrigued, so I will be getting Spider-Man 2009, but I will say the second issue was better than the third. I do like what they're doing with Miguel. I thought Miguel was really interesting here. I love what they're doing with Liz Allen. Because with the last issue, we get to see Liz Allen and Miguel, they kiss, and Miguel's really confused. Are they, like, having a thing? Will he get fired because she knows that he's from the future? And Liz's like, I really don't care that you're from the future. Just do what I want. And not, you know, in a sexual way. Just do what I want business-wise, and we'll be cool. I think because Liz knows that she has her secrets too, which you know from The Amazing Spider-Man, which I'm sure Miguel will find out. I think that's why she is a secondary character, is to develop that story with the Green Goblin, but I do like Liz Allen being a secondary character, and I think she's a very interesting character the way they're developing her in Spider-Man 2009. Now, I thought the weaker part was actually the story where they tried to sell these Spider Slayers, and we do see a villain of Spider-Man, Scorpion, that comes back. Which I thought was pretty cool to see him. We haven't seen him in a while, so yeah, I just thought the Spider Slayer story wasn't really developed that well. I was like, oh, you're selling these Spider Slayers, why should I care? I mean, Spider Slayers in general is pretty cool, but I don't know, they're selling it to these random people. Like, who are these people? And that really made me curious, and I felt like that part wasn't developed as much. But yeah, so I thought it was okay, the actual story, but I thought the characters were really well done here, and artwork's really good. So for me, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I like the issue. It's not as good as that second issue, but looking forward to seeing where the series goes. It's really a lot better than I expected it would be. So I'm going to give this 3.5 stars, and I say pick this one up. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 11, which is Batman Eternal, issue 22. Yeah, this issue is actually pretty good. This is actually a cohesive story, which usually Batman Eternal has like 3 stories, so it's cool to see like one big story for the issue. So with this, we can see that Alfred is in the hospital, and his daughter finds out about the Batcave, finds out about Batman, and Batman's trying to defeat this villain, the Architect, which he's just a puppet for another villain, which we saw last issue, Hush. So that's pretty much the story, really. It's just Batman finding out that Alfred's hurt, but him still having to deal with the architect, because that's what Alfred would want Bruce to do. And also, Alfred's daughter finding out about Batman. So overall, it was kind of generic, but at the same time, interesting with Alfred's daughter. I thought that had a really added plus. I'm interested to see where her character goes, what happened to Alfred. I think they should have added a little bit more on Alfred in the hospital. Did I really care about Hush and the architect? I don't think so, because they didn't really develop that story that well. But I did like the story overall. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I like how it was one cohesive story. So, one thing I also want to say about the art, though, I thought it was a little blotchy with the ink job. Here's good examples of that. Just very blotchy. I'm not saying the art was bad, just this blotchy ink job here. So, that kind of also put the grade a little bit lower. But overall, I thought this was a better issue than what we've been getting with Batman Eternal, and it seems like it's going to be a little more consistent, the book. A little upset that this was not the Stephanie issue. I'm pretty sure they advertised this as a Stephanie issue, so I don't know when we're going to be getting that. But yeah, I like the issue overall. I thought it was pretty good. Okay issue. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I say pick it up. Now we're up to number 10, which is Tales of Terror, issue 2, which is Zenescope book. I loved issue 1 of Tales of Terror. It was actually my pick of the week when it did come out. And it's kind of a one-shot book where different horror stories goes on. And with this issue, we get to see that this greedy man wants this treasure. And these two sons come to his doorstep saying, "What happened to my father?" And the greedy man actually sent the father to get a treasure. And it's the curse of this insect god, and we see a lot of people die, and that's what greed can do. I think if you like Indiana Jones, you're really gonna like this. For me, I'm not a big Indiana Jones fan, but I like the story. I thought it had that creep factor, which issue 1 totally had, so it had that horror aspect. It was a pretty interesting story at the same time. Not as good as issue 1, that's why it's like number 10 on the list, but good artwork. Pretty good issue, you know, nothing that blew my mind, but it still kept me intrigued, and again, had a really good horror aspect. So I'm gonna give this issue 3.5 stars. I liked it. It's pretty good. Alright, so let's move on to number 9, which is The Legendary Star-Lord, issue 3. I think another series that kind of went down the list a little bit for this week. With Legendary Star-Lord, I felt like this was a little bit more of a filler issue, as we get to see Star-Lord captured again. And he meets up with this kid, this orphan kid. They have a fun time. They escape jail with each other, and he is able to bond with this kid and also bond with Kitty Pryde at the same time. He gets a new spaceship, but by the end of the issue, he's going to have to go back to Earth because of Thanos, which was kind of random. I don't know why he has to go to Thanos, but that was the ending. Thanos had nothing to do with this issue, but he's like, you know what? I'm going to Earth to defeat Thanos. So, okay, that makes sense, I guess. So yeah, this is an okay issue. I love the artwork. I'm going to say that. I think Ed McGuinness, no, he does not do the art. It's Paco Medina. He also did Nova, which I loved his artwork on Nova. So yeah, really great art style, which I think bumped this issue a little bit higher than others. I liked it. You know, I really like how they made Kitty Pryde fun here, which I think Kitty Pryde always had a fun side, so it was cool that she had like this banana suit to scare people, so I thought that was pretty in character for her, and I like their relationship, and I want to see where it goes. It's something different. Again, you know, Kitty's always on and off with Colossus, and then just had this thing with Iceman, and Star-Lord and Kitty might bring the best out of each other. Like, Star-Lord's trying to be less of a player, and Kitty's just having more of this fun side. So I do like that idea of the book, and I want to see what they do with Kitty with this book, and how they keep this relationship up, that she's on Earth, and he's going to have to be in space with his story. I think that's why they're bringing it to Earth with Thanos for some reason. Kind of random ending, but overall, it was an okay issue. You know, it was a fun issue, had some cool references, some nice, you know, songs, sing-alongs. I liked the new shit, but nothing that blew my mind at the same time either. I do think the previous issues with the sister was a little bit better, because I think it was just more of a cohesive story and less of a filler. But overall, I think if you like Star-Lord, you get some really cool moments with him. So I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. Art was really good. But hopefully the next issue is a little bit better, because it's going to be more of a story arc. Alright. Now we're up to number 8, which is Tiny Titans, issue 4. I I love this series. It's so cute. If you're not reading Tiny Titans, do yourself a favor and buy Tiny Titans. It's such a fun series for all ages, really. If you are just a DC fan, you just get a lot of references in this book, and you laugh a lot more than Harley Quinn's going to make you laugh. And it's just cute. It's a cute book. And also, if you have kids, it's great to read to your children. And they also will learn more about the DC Universe with this. So I like this issue. It's the Tiny Titans trying to find their treehouse, of course, and going to Atlantis. I thought Aquaman was hilarious here. Commissioner Gordon was hilarious. And we get to see the story of Barbara. She's going with Robin, I think it was Wonder Girl, under the sea to try again to find this treehouse. So yeah, this is a really fun issue. There's some fun moments, and I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. It was a good issue. Fun art. It's the most I can really say about it. Do yourself a favor, get Tiny Titans. Alright, I think we're up to number 6 now. Let me make sure. We're up to number 7. Alright. Green Arrow, issue 1, Future's End. 3D cover. Very cool 3D cover. This is actually a lot higher than I expected, because Green Arrow of the last issue, which was supposedly Lemire's last issue, but this is technically Lemire's last issue. I didn't really like it. I just thought they threw in big names, didn't really do much, very predictable. With this, one of my favorite stories of Future's End, the actual book, and I guess the story arc and event, is Green Arrow, and I guess Superman also. So this is really interesting, because I think Amiko's been so well done in Future's End, because I didn't really care about her character that much in the Green Arrow series, but I care about her a lot in the Future's End series. I think she's a really interesting Green Arrow, and like how her character has developed. Even Naomi wasn't really annoying here either. She didn't feel like, oh my god, that person, that secondary character, I don't even know your name. She was interesting here. She's going more into the field, so I like that a lot. But we find out that Green Arrow is alive, and he faked his death. So you get a lot more insight in the Green Arrow book to the Future's End book. So this is definitely the most tied into book. Like, Earth 2 was like hardly tied into the actual Earth 2 book and Future's End. This is tied into the Green Arrow book and Future's End. And there's another title that I will talk about that also does the same thing. I actually got confused with my in-depth review that something actually happened in Future's End and not that Action Comics book. But yeah, with Green Arrow, I really just liked it. I thought it was an improved issue, even though they kind of threw in some villains for, like, no reason. Like, Deathstroke made sense, but you didn't really need Deathstroke's story. But we get to see that Green Arrow fakes his death to join the Outsiders, just to say, hey, don't annoy my sister, but I'll join the Outsiders to help these people. And we're going to use the island. And we see, again, that tie into the Future's End issue this week. So overall, I was very interested in the story. I thought the characters were really great. I don't like the dark art still, even though I do like Sorrentino's art. I don't think I really like it that much for Green Arrow. I want to see more of a fun Oliver, which you still don't see in this series, but I just think it was a much improved series from what we've been getting with Lemire. So, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a really, really solid issue, and a great ending for Lemire's run, and a really great tie-in to Future's End. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. I really enjoyed Green Arrow. So let's talk about number 6 on the list, which is Uncanny X-Men, issue 25. Another series that's kind of usually on the bottom. I usually don't even get because I'm not a big fan of Uncanny X-Men, but I've been picking up because of the Will and Testament of Charles Xavier. And Uncanny X-Men this week was really well done. Even though we didn't really learn a lot about Charles Xavier's secrets, we find out a dark secret, which I thought Brian Michael Bendis portrayed very well. And the dark secret is that he had this mutant that was very dangerous, and he became friends with him because he wanted to take away his mutant powers. And Cyclops is totally pissed off because he's like, this is your message, that mutants should be proud of themselves, but this was a time where humans really did not accept mutants, and it would have been politically incorrect to do, and the Earth could have been destroyed because he was so powerful. So Charles Xavier made the decision to hide this person's powers. So he's like, X-Men, I'm sorry I didn't tell you this, but please help this boy and look over him. That way his powers don't develop. And I guess because Charles Xavier is dead, his powers come back. And that is the end of the issue, and this is a big threat. Someone that could bring 2 worlds and collide them together. So what is going to happen with the X-Men actually makes me really interested that I will pick up the next issue of Uncanny X-Men to see how this continues. But But overall, I really liked it. Again, I just thought Brian Michael Bendis did a really great job to get us into this New Mutants character. You cared about the New Mutant, and also the principle of Charles Xavier himself. Again, that he always was for mutants, and how the X-Men were really polarized about it. They had to pause the story, which I thought was really fun. It's just a really well written issue, and I liked seeing the X-Men butt heads. Artwork still, I don't really love the abstract style of the artwork, but I guess I've gotten used to this dark style. I do like the artwork that was in the previous issue a little bit more. But one of the best Uncanny X-Men issues I've read in a while, so really liked it. It's worth, I think it's $4.99, right? It's definitely worth the $4.99. It's double sized. You get a really great chunk of story, and I think Brian Michael Bendis just does a great job to make us feel attached to this new character. It makes me intrigued. I'll get the next issue of Uncanny X-Men, which I was going to drop the series after Will and Testament, but I'm intrigued. I really am. I'm excited to see what happens. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. I really liked it, and now it's number 6. Number 5 is Death of Wolverine, issue 1. I really was impressed with Death of Wolverine. I know a lot of people try to avoid Death of Wolverine because of Future's End. They're getting a lot of books. But I got Death of Wolverine, even though with the $4.99 price tag, because I'm intrigued. I want to see what they do with Death of Wolverine, because I kind of think they should kill him off. I said this in my in-depth review, too, that I feel like he's a little bit of a character that's been drained down, really. Watered down, because now he's friends with everybody, and it makes those relationships that he was friends with less. Like Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, like those relationships are so strong, and now that he's friends with everybody, I guess they don't matter as much, because again, like, he was a lonely person, and he was always wanted to be alone, and now he's just Professor Wolverine, and he's Headmaster Wolverine. I think they really do need to restart his character to get back to that lonely character, but also have connections with few people, because that makes sense, and it makes those relationships a little bit more valuable. So I'm excited for Death of Wolverine, even though I know this is more of a restart button. I understand he's not going to die for years, but I'm glad that they're restarting Wolverine, which I think they kind of need with this character, and I'm intrigued to see how people react to his death also. So let's dive into the issue, where we get to see, this is more of a setup, really, how weak Wolverine is without his powers, and who's behind people wanting a bounty on Wolverine to be alive. And we find out who wants the bounty, and that's pretty much the whole issue. So is that worth $4.99? Yes, in a way, because I thought the quality of the book was really well done. This is like a trade, it feels like. It's really well quality. You get some really cool pages like this, and I don't think we needed all these extra features. I kind of skimmed through them, so I think that was kind of disappointing that they have all these extra features that would usually be in a trade. And they forced you to get them. This could have been like, here's a $4.99 book if you want this, but here's $3.99 book if you don't want those extra features. I think they should have given us the choice, but they kind of forced you to buy this. But overall, I thought the story was really good, and the artwork was amazing. Love the artwork, and that really made the issue for me. Was this art style? Again, great example. Let me get another page for you guys. This is great artwork here. So I give this 4 stars, and why it's so high up. Again, the story is a pretty good setup. I really love the quality of the book, and the artwork was amazing. So this got 4 stars for me. I'm intrigued to see where this series goes, so I'm going to give this 4 stars. I did like the Death of Wolverine. So what is number 4? Action Comics issue 1, the best Future's End issue I read this week. So yeah, there is no Future's End issue in the top 3, but here's the 3D-ness. I really liked Action Comics. I just thought it had a really good message. It was a good one-shot, and I am going to get some random books during Future's End, but also be picky at the same time. So if I like the summary of a book, I'm going to try getting it. So I won't be getting all the books I usually get, but I also will maybe get some books I don't usually get. So Action Comics was one of them. I don't get a lot of Superman books. I will be picking up Superman and Wonder Woman again once Doomsday's over. But Action Comics. With this issue, we get to see that Clark, he's in the desert. He doesn't want to be Superman anymore. He left that to Billy. But his powers, because of this ghost-like sand person, who's also Superman, gives his powers to a son who sees his mother abused, a person that owes a gang, and a person wanted to commit suicide. And I thought those are really 3 great stories, a way to give Superman strength and give a really great message to the book, which Superman's always about, is always about giving great messages, and that's the symbol of his character, and which you don't really get to see in the New 52 because he's supposed to be grittier. So I like the message. Artwork was pretty good, but I didn't love some of the artwork. Like, this page is good, regular artwork, but then they have like this spotty artwork that seemed like it should be in 3D. It felt very smudgy. So I don't know if the camera is going to catch it, but it's just very smudgy, which I didn't really like. And that was actually a little bit of a downfall for the book. But overall, I thought it was a really good message. I still don't understand why Superman was giving powers to people. That didn't quite make sense, which also kind of lowered the book. But the message overall was really good. And it was my favorite because, again, this was just the issue I really enjoyed the most from Future's End. Even though Green Arrow was really good story-wise, I just thought this had a great message and just was a really well-written one-shot. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. I really liked it. So what is number 3? She-Hulk, issue 8. Yeah, She-Hulk is really high on my list. I just had a blast. Sorry, She-Hulk just fell. I just had a blast with this issue, and I had to drop She-Hulk for a little while because the art was horrible. The art style is still not one of my favorites for She-Hulk, and I think that's why it's like not pick of the week or whatever, but even though I do think there's the 2 issues that are up there, or deserve to be up there. It's a little puffy. I'm getting used to the art style, but I like the story overall. I'm not a lawyer, but I loved how they used all this lawyer lingo. I know that Charles Soule is a lawyer, and you could see that. They really dig into clauses and what it means to be a lawyer, and I was really impressed with this. And we get to see that She-Hulk is representing Captain America, old Captain America, because someone thinks he killed somebody, and we're unraveling that story, and She-Hulk can't be a lawyer in California for some reason, and she asks Matt, "Hey Matt, you're in California, can I be a representative for your law firm?" Very lawyer talk, which again I really liked, and Matt's like, "Yeah, sure, who is it for?" And he's like, "Oh, you know, Captain America, our good friend, our Avenger." He's like, "You know what, She-Hulk, Jen, I can't do this for you." Hangs up, and we find out the person that she has to go against is Matt Murdock. This never has happened, that She-Hulk has gone against Matt Murdock, which just makes total sense. The 2 lawyer superheroes have not gone at it in a courtroom, and that makes me totally excited. I love this issue. I just thought it was so fun. There's some really great interactions with Patty and Captain America, and I really like how this Scooby gang of a lawyer gang is really growing for She-Hulk, and I think the story is really well written. Again, the artwork I'm getting used to. I've seen better for She-Hulk, but I just really overall like the story and really looking forward to where the story arc goes. So, really good issue. I give this 4 stars. Let's move on to number 2, which is Hakweye Vs Deadpool, issue 0. Really surprised this is so high up. I was looking forward to this issue a lot, because I personally did like the Hawkeye Matt Fraction series. Did it go downhill a little bit because of the delays? Yeah, it did. But it doesn't mean I'm not excited to read Hawkeye, even though it got canceled, which I'm kind of disappointed about. With this issue, we get to see Deadpool make fun of the Hawkeye series. Even, not the delays, but how long it took to solve a murder. It took 5 issues to solve a murder, and Deadpool makes fun of that in this issue. And one of my favorite jokes is that this is around Halloween time, so even though this issue's out in September, maybe it should have been out on Halloween, but it's around Halloween time, and Clint is giving out candy, and everyone's like, this guy, he gives full candy bars. And this year, he gives fun-size candy bars, and he's like, but it's fun. You guys should love it. It's fun size. And it's like, nope, we want the full-size candy bars. So I just thought that was really hilarious. There's some really great moments like that. And Deadpool and Hawkeye are going to be working on an investigation together, which we find out who's the head of who they have to go against is Black Cat. I just had a blast with this. Again, I'm not a big Deadpool fan, but it just worked here. The artwork was great. I love this issue. Can't wait till issue 1. And this is something you want to see with the regular Hawkeye series, because it has the humor of Hawkeye and the humor of Deadpool, and it collides just so well. And if you read Deadpool, you get references from there. If you read Hawkeye, you get references. So, loved it. I mean, if Kate was here, it'd be even better, but this was awesome. I'm really excited. I gave this 5 stars. it was really close to being my pick of the week. It was kind of hard because my pick of the week is so different from this book. So it's actually really hard to rate it. They're not serious books, and my first issue, I guess, is a little bit more serious. But just had a blast with it. I'm going to give this 5 stars. Pick it up, definitely, if you like either of those characters. Number 1 for me is Justice League issue 33. I really enjoyed this book, honestly. I just thought it was a really perfectly written book. As a really big Lex Luthor fan, I love how pompous he is here. And it's Doom Patrol versus Justice League, and the Chief versus Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor just being pompous saying, I could defeat Power Ring, why not? And we get to see Lex Luthor keep referencing Bruce as Batman. He's like, Bruce, deal with this. And he's like, don't call me Bruce. Then tell me you're actually Bruce. So I love that moment with Lex Luthor. I just thought this is a perfect Lex Luthor book. If you're looking for a great in-character Lex Luthor book, read Justice League. And we actually see Batman as the one who defeats Power Ring in a way that he talks to Jessica and say, don't be afraid. You're a victim. I understand that. And now that everyone knows that she's not at fault here, she gets less she gets less scared, and now she is powered down. She's not powering anymore. And Batman and the rest of Justice League have to decide, will they bring Lex Luthor into the Justice League? And they decide, keep your enemies close. So Lex Luthor will be in the Justice League, which I guess we kind of already knew that. I just thought this was a perfect issue. Again, I love the Power Ring moments. I thought she was a really cool character. Hopefully they develop Jessica Cruz more, because I'd be disappointed if they kind of just forgot about her, because they made such a big deal of having a female Green Lantern, a human female Green Lantern, and if they didn't do much with her, I'd be kind of disappointed with that. So I hope they do. I hope they, she had the willpower to get rid of Power Ring. Maybe she'll have the willpower to become a Green Lantern, an actual Green Lantern. So I think that would be pretty cool if they did that. And I hope we see that in the next couple issues. I hope it's not a one-story arc character. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. If you're a Lex Luthor fan, I thought he was perfectly represented here. And it made me excited to read the more issues of Justice League. I can't wait to see Bruce, actually Bruce, not Batman, but Bruce and Lex go at it. And hopefully we get to see that story develop a little bit more. But overall, really liked this. Artwork was really well done here too. 5-star book. I just loved it. Yeah, so there's a real mixed bag. Some 5-star books, some 2-star books there. But yeah, Justice League was definitely my pick of the week. But it was very close with Hawkeye vs. Deadpool. But hope you guys enjoyed. Please tell me in the comments below what was your worst pick of the week. What was your pick of the week, and all the comics in between, whatever comics I talked about, you guys talk about in the comments too. Of course, I'll Comic episode 64 next week. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter for Comic and their rant situations. Don't forget to like my Facebook page, and also in the description below, there's links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter, and the like page for Like Father, Like Daughter, so be sure to check that out too. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.